So hello Math 8, Miss Rao is going to be your teacher today. I'm going to ask the sub to pass out the slope-intercept form from a table to make sure you've got access to it. Basically, I wanted to go over with you guys real quickly how to find slope, right? So in the olden times, like 3 days ago, before school went crazy, remember that we said the slope is the steepness of a line. We also said to calculate it, we practiced with tables, subtracting your y-coordinates over your x-coordinates. The y-intercept is where the line always crosses the y-axis. So y-intercept and y-axis means that's where it touches. Now today, we're going to keep practicing subtracting to find slope, but we also need to know where that graph will cross the y-axis at x equals 0. So we're going to use a math equation using slope to find that. So today, you should have gotten from your substitute the slope-intercept form from a table. So when you're given a table of values, you can determine the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So first of all, you've got to pick two coordinates, x1, y1, okay? Then you're going to need to simplify. So we're going to subtract like we always have with the After that, we have to pick one x and y coordinate to figure out what our y-intercept's going to be. We plug that in and we can very quickly find the y-intercept. All right, so here's our first thing. It wants us to pick two coordinate pairs. So I'm going to pick 2, 5, and I'm going to pick 3, 7. In algebra, we have what we call a formula that says x1 is your first x coordinate, y1 is your first y coordinate, x2 is your second x coordinate, y2 is your second y coordinate. So we're going to plug that in. So basically, 7's our second y coordinate, so we're going to subtract that. We're going to say 7 minus 5. So I come on over here with 7 minus 5, 2. So I'm going to take away my y coordinates. Then I'm going to take away my x coordinates. 3 minus 2 is 1. That's my second x coordinate, so I'm going to write that first, minus my first x coordinate. So 3 minus 2 is 1. Remember, we did this 2 days ago, so this shouldn't feel too new. So my slope is 2 divided by 1, or 2. Here's the new part that we're going to be practicing. So it says pick one ordered pair from the table, plug the x and y values in for that point. So I just need to come over and pick any values from the table. So I'm going to pick the first one. So my coordinate is 2, 5. That's my x. That's my y. My slope is going to be equal to 2. So I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to write, in place of y, the number 5. So 5, because that's my y coordinate. My slope is 2. My x coordinate is also 2. I'm going to drop that in place. So 2 times 2 plus b. So I know this is going to be 5 equals 4. I need to find my y coordinate. And then this becomes a very simple two-step equation. So I have to take 4 away from both sides. So my b-intercept is equaling, what is 5 minus 4? 1. So if I know my slope is 2, this is going to drop in place here to be 2x plus 1. And then I'm done. Okay, let's do that a couple more times. Then I'll let you practice. I'll have the sub pause the video. But for now, let's look at the second one. So I'm going to draw an arrow up from 5 to 2. I'm going to draw an arrow up from 2 to 1. Now my slope says I need to take my second y coordinate minus my first. And that's going to be over x2 minus x1. Okay? My second y coordinate is 5, so I'm going to write 5 minus my first y coordinate, which is 2. What is 5 take away 2? That's going to give me 3. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that first step. You can also put in parentheses in your calculator. Then I have to do the second step, so I have to say 2 take away 1. So my second x coordinate is 2. So I'm going to write 2 because it's x on the bottom, remember, minus 1. That's going to give me 1. So my slope is going to equal 3 divided by 1, or 3. So then I'm going to write my equation, y equals mx plus b. And now I know I'm going to drop 3 in place of slope. So it doesn't really matter what point I pick. I'm just going to choose 4 and 11, but it could be either one. So 4 is my x coordinate. 11 is my y coordinate. So I'm going to say 11 equals 3 times 4 plus b. I know 3 times 4 is 12. So 11 equals 12 plus my y-intercept. I have to take away 12 from both sides. So 12 minus 12 is 0. 11 minus 12 is negative 1. So that means my y-intercept is negative 1, my slope is 3, and that means my equation of my line would be y equals 3x minus 1. Okay, let's try one more. So let's go through the steps. Step 1, write your formula. Step 2, realize your second y-coordinate goes first on top. Your first y-coordinate goes the second place. 5 minus 2 is 3. Then I have to take my second x-coordinate, that goes first, minus my first y-coordinate. I divide it, I get 3. Then I have to write, for step 3, y equals mx plus b out. And then step 4, I substitute in the coordinate I had right here, 4 for x and 11 for y. And then I solve for b. So I take away from both sides, and I get my y-intercept is negative 1. Okay, let's try one more. Then I'll let the sub pause the video for a couple minutes, and we'll give you a chance to write it. Okay, so what were my steps again? Write my formula. So I'm going to write with me. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so my second y-coordinate is 2. My first y-coordinate is 4, so I'm going to subtract that. I'm going to say 3 minus 4 on top. Okay, make that a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to come over, I need to subtract my x-coordinate. My x2 is 3, my x1 is 1. So I'm going to take 3 minus 1. So 3 take away 4 is negative 1, over 3 minus 1 is 2. So my slope is going to be negative 1/2, which is going to equal negative 0.5. Now I need to find my y-intercept. Okay, so I'm going to write y equals mx plus b. I know my slope is negative 1/2, so I'm going to write that right here. I'm going to put plus b equals something. Okay, doesn't really matter what point I pick. I'm going to use 1, 4. So 4 is my y-coordinate, so I'm going to put 4. 1 is my x-coordinate, so I'm going to put 1. And then I just have to solve for b. So I know this is going to equal, I'm going to come over here where there's a little bit more space. So I'm going to put 4 equals negative 1/2. So I need to get the 1/2 to the other side, so I have to flip the sign, add 1/2 to the left, add 1/2 to the right. So that's going to leave me with 4.5 equals my y-intercept. Then I come on over and I'm going to write 4.5. So that means my equation of my line is y equals negative 1/2 x plus 4.5. Okay? Now I'm going to ask the sub to pause the video and give you guys a chance to try the next 2 problems. So I would probably give the students about 5 minutes to try to see how far they can get, and then when you're ready, you can press play. All right, so by pressing play, you've already said that you've done this and you've attempted it, because I wanted you to try to cycle through what we did. Okay. So remember our steps. Write your formula, which is going to be on your star sheet, which will also be on your unit test. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is my y2. This is my y1. I need to subtract that. So that's going to be 6 minus 4 over my second x-coordinate is 4. My first x-coordinate is 2. That's going to be 4 minus 2. So I know 6 minus 4 is 2. 4 minus 2 is also 2. So my slope is going to be 2 divided by 2, or 1. Easy, Stevie. We did this before. Now the new part is I have to write my formula. So I have to come over and I have to say y equals mx plus b. And I have to substitute in one of those coordinates. Okay? So I'm going to come over and put 4 in place of y, because that's my y-coordinate. I'm going to put 1 in place of slope. My x-coordinate is 2, so 1 times 2 plus b. Then I know 1 times 2 is 2, so I need to subtract 2 from both sides to find my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is equal to 2. So that means my equation of my line is y equals 1x plus 2 for my answer. Okay, let's try the next one. All right, so I'm going to erase this part. Now I need to do the same thing again. Same steps. Write your formula. m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to draw my arrows. I'm going to label everything, y2, x2, x1, y1. And then I'm going to fill in what my table shows. So my second y coordinate is -1 minus my first y coordinate is 2 over my second x coordinate is +2 minus my first x coordinate, which is -4. I plug all that into my handy dandy little calculator, and I get -3 over 6, which will simplify to give me -1/2 again. So I'm going to come over and put -1/2 for my slope. Then I have to write my equation of my line. So that's going to give me y equals mx plus b. I'm going to use this first point right here, -4, 2, as my x and my y. So that means in place of y, I plug in 2. In place of m, I plug in -1/2. I'm just going to change it to a decimal, times my x coordinate, which is -2, plus my y-intercept, okay? Then using a calculator, I have to say -0.5 times -2, okay? So if I plug that in, I'm going to get for my answer +1. So 2 equals 1 plus my y-intercept. So I have to take away 1 from both sides, and I get my y-intercept is equal to +1, okay? Because I know -0.5 times -2 is +1, and then to get that away from b, the opposite is subtracting. So that means my y-intercept is 1. So my equation of my line is y equal -1/2 plus 1, okay? Give it a minute to make sure everybody has that written. Now we're going to try one more problem together, and then we're going to back it up and talk about what it means for lines to be on a straight line. Okay, so we're going to do one more, so flip your paper over on the back. We just got some negatives. It's the same thing. We don't need to stress out. So what are our steps again? Step 1, write your equation. So my slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to label that x1, y1, x2, y2. Draw my arrows so I know which way I'm writing it. Okay. Then I'm going to come over and say m equals -3 minus -7 over -1 minus -3. I'm going to put all of this in the calculator just like that. And when I do, I know minus and negative is a positive. I'm just going to fix this for me. So that means -3 plus 7 is 4 over -1 plus 3, which is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Easy Stevie. 2 is my slope. Then I need to write my equation. So my equation is going to be y equals mx plus b. Now I'm just going to I'll use the problem at the bottom. I'll use 1, 1 as my coordinate. Nice and easy. So I'm going to plug 1 in for x, 2 in for my slope, 2 times 1 plus my y-intercept, and draw my line down. So that's 1 equals 2 plus what number? I need to get b by itself, so I flip the sign, -2, -2. So 1 is my y-intercept, so my equation of my line is y equals 2x plus 1, okay? All right, now the delta math tonight the Edulastic tonight should really help. And if you did the delta math from last night, this should help make a little bit more sense of what we did yesterday. Okay, so what I need you to do is to get out that packet Mr. Hubbard passed back out to you. And we're gonna wrap up our learning on slope. So I need you to jump to, what page did we end on? We talked about finding slope, so I want you to open up your packet to page 318, okay? 318. And we're gonna talk about how to determine if something is linear or has a constant rate of change, okay? So it says on page 318, you previously used similar right triangles to show you're given a point on a line, on a graph. Then the slope is the same between any 2 points on the line. We got to remember that for star. The converse is also true. If the slope between every ordered pair in a table of values is constant, then the ordered pairs will form a straight line. So in order to determine if a table of values represents a linear relationship, show that the slope is the same for every pair of points. Now, luckily, we don't have to do y-intercept at all. So we're going to subtract to find your answer. So I'm going to draw an arrow from 9 to 4, draw an arrow from 28 to 13, and I'm going to subtract. Okay? So I'm going to come over and I'm going to say 28 minus 13 over 9 minus 4, because it wants us to find the slope between those two pairs of points. So I know 28 minus 13 is going to give me 15 over 5, which gives me 3, right? 15 divided by 5, because remember, slope is the change of y over the change of x. Now I need to make sure the other 2 points give me the same slope. So I'm going to come over and do the same thing again. So I'm going to say 34 minus 28, because that's x1, y1, x2, y2. So 34 minus 28 over 11 minus 9. I put that into my handy dandy little calculator. That's 6 divided by 2, and guess what that gives me? 3. So it looks hopeful. It looks like I've got the same slope. However, if I look at the very last series of points right here, I know that I'm going to have to say 47 minus 34. I'm going to keep labeling, sorry, x1, y1, x2, y2. I know that's going to equal 47 minus 34 over 16 minus 11. That's going to give me 13 divided by 5, which gives me what? 2.6, okay? Now I can see that these 3 slopes are not the same, so it will not be a straight line. So you need to make sure, if I ask you on your test, hint, hint, next Wednesday, if they form a straight line, you need to make sure no, because you don't have a constant rate, okay? Now there's a way you can cheat a little bit in Desmos, so I'm going to show you that next. So let's take a look at the next page, okay? Let's take a look at this pair of ordered pairs. So I'm going to write that down so I can show you. You can put this in Desmos real quick. Okay, and it can go ahead and tell you if it's a straight line. You can kind of tell, okay? So you could do a shortcut. So I'm going to teach you the shortcut just for this. All right, so I'm going to open up Desmos, and I'm going to create a table, okay? I'm going to clear all this off, so give me just a second. You have a Desmos app on your Chromebook too. Okay, so here's my Desmos screen, and I'm just going to press the plus sign and then a table. And I'm going to type this information in. So I'm going to say 2, and then I'm going to say 7, I'm going to say 6, I'm going to say 13, I'm going to say 8, and I'm going to say 16, okay? So in Desmos, it kind of looks like a straight line, 2, 7, 6, 13, 8, 16. I need to do 20. Whoops, forgot one more point. 20 and 34. So it kind of looks like a straight line, but let's make sure, right? So you see this little gear right here? I can press it. So what I did was I pressed the gear, press the color, and you see where it says line is off? I can turn that on, and then I can look at that, and I'm like, no, that's a little bit crooked. That's not a straight line. It has to be completely straight. So I can come back to my book, and I could say not a straight line, okay? However, I could also do it the old-fashioned way, and I could see that's 4, 13 minus 7 is 6, so my slope would be 6 over 4, or 1.5. I could see 8 minus 6 is 2, 16 minus 13 is 3, so 3 over 2 equals 1.5, but this last point is what is killing us. That has a difference of 12. 34 minus 16 has a difference of 18. And if I divide 18 by 12, I get 34 minus 16, I get 18. 20 minus 8, I get 12. Then I would also get 18 divided by 12, which will give me 1.5, okay? So that's another way that you can kind of double check and see if your answer is right. So if I come on over and I know this is 1.5 and I need to double check my points are 20, 34, Mr. Ellis teacher problems. Now I can see it makes a straight line. So moral of the story, please make sure you double check your coordinates that you actually have. All right, let's try the cheat hack one more time. So I'm gonna type in the coordinates right here. 1 and 33, 2 and 40, 3 and 47, 4 and 54, 5, 61 in Desmos to see if it'll quickly form a straight line. So bear with me, I'm almost done. This is the last 60 seconds or so of the lesson. So I know this is gonna be 1. Let me zoom that back out again so I can see it. So I'm gonna go ahead and change my table to match that to see if I get a straight line. So this is gonna be 1 and 33. Then this is gonna be 2 and 40. Then this is gonna be 3 and 47. And this is gonna be 4 and 54, 5, 61, okay? Press my gear, press my line, make sure my line is turned to on, which it is, okay? Oh, I just deleted it. And then you would zoom out to see if it actually made your line. So let me do it one more time. I'm gonna do a couple points just to show you. One more time, 2 and 40. Thanks for being patient with me. 3 and 47. Okay, and I can zoom this and I can see it kind of looks like it is, right? And then I would just press the gear, press the color, and switch the line to on. And I can see this would make a straight line based on the 3 points that I have, okay? All right, so your homework tonight is gonna be on Edge Elastic. So you're gonna need to log into Edge Elastic, okay? And then it's gonna be this US Arcade assignment. So that's gonna have you walk through something that's not too difficult, that'll let me actually view the test with you. So if I open this up, it's gonna have you find this, which one's linear, which one has a constant rate, which one has a slope of 2. You could graph these two, but it also asks which one has a slope of 2. Which equation of the line, what's your slope, what's your y-intercept, is it proportional or not? Calculate your slope from subtracting those points that we've been working on. Write an equation based on what we've talked about too. Use your equation, $5 to enter a raffle plus $1. You're allowed 2 checks for each question mark, okay? So make sure you do this assignment. This is one of the last assignments we're gonna have that's graded.